When I woke up the morning of January the 1st, 2018, it felt like somebody had flicked a switch in my head overnight. A switch that I didn't even know existed until then. The switch has a title, responsibility, and the switch has two positions. It's either me or them. And overnight, the position of the switch had changed from them to me. And it's hard to describe this feeling in words. But I do believe if you are self-employed already, you know what it feels like. So maybe write in the comments if you think that this switch exists in your head too, and how it felt when the switch was flicked. And in this video, I want to talk about what changed since then and how I managed to build a successful one-person business around my own skills. Because when I tell you my journey, you will understand how much can change in 5.5 years. How many things can change, but how at the same time your own business can grow. I also want to talk about why I think it's not such a good idea to start as a side hustle. Depends on the circumstances, but I'll explain them. And also, I want to share some of the learnings that I wish I had had earlier. And this is going to be a talking head video. So I'm really sorry if you're looking for something that's visually more entertaining, but this is as much of visually entertaining as this will get. So let me take you back to this very day. When I woke up, really, it was still in the winter break. I was still on holiday, but I knew that this is the first day that if I do something and work, I can potentially make money. And if I don't do anything, I won't. And so this switch in my head really was like, okay, now it's on you. So do something. But not in a bad sense, more like in a really energetic way, because I felt like this is my time and I can do whatever I want with my time. And I will get back to that time factor when I talk about side hustle or no side hustle. If the first phase of my self-employment had a title, it would be this, because I didn't have the faintest idea about what business means, what self-employment means, what it means to be responsible for your own income. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have a business model. I didn't know anything about customers and so forth. So in the beginning, I only built my business around a few things that I thought I was good at and I thought I could help other people with. Movement of the body, coaching, systemic coaching, and learning. So I wasn't fully focused on one business or one business model, but I did several different things. I had a few coaching clients. I was already working together with a few companies, doing some workshops for them and trainings. But also I was still partly working as a personal trainer and a personal coach for fitness. By now, you're probably wondering if this is relevant to you. So I want to jump ahead and just quickly talk about what it is that I am doing now. What is it that I'm doing today and how successful I am with it. Since the beginning of my one-person business, there has always been one silver lining, and that silver lining is the topic of learning. So whatever I do and whoever I do it with, it always revolves around the topic of learning. And so today I'm working together with a couple of corporate clients where I consult corporations in designing their own learning strategies, learning formats, and work on topics that are connected to learning. This year, I've successfully launched a platform for learning professionals where learning professionals from different companies share their ideas, exchange their ideas, and learn collaboratively. I have gained a ton of clarity now where my skills are and where and how I can help in a more meaningful manner, both for the organization, but also for my own business. And at the center of my work now, the center of what I do is content creation, and it's mostly videos like this one. So if after this you're still here and still watching, then you might be wondering, okay, but is this really successful? And here I don't want to go into the numbers. So I don't want to reveal how much I make a month or how much I make a year, because I don't think that YouTube is the place where at least I would like to discuss that. What I would like to do instead is, I can say for myself, for my subjective definition of success, it works. What do I mean by that? I have a family, and I would like to take care of that family in a way that feels good for the family. And I am able to do that. In fact, I was able to do that since 2019. So 2018, remember the year of no idea? I made quite some loss that year because I had no idea. But now, today, I'm really happy with where I am and really happy how my business has developed. And I don't know if you want advice or if I should give you any, but if you want to start a successful one-person business yourself, then this is the first thing that you need to take care of. What does that mean for you? And I heard a really nice version of that question in the Colin and Samir podcast. So the question was this: what's your definition of making it? And that really got stuck in my head, because so often we say, oh, he's made it, or she's made it, or I want to make it. But what does that mean for you? And the first time I heard this question, I had to stop the podcast, sit down, and start writing. And I can say that I'm not there yet. So I haven't made it, but I've managed to build a successful one-person business around my skills that manages to pay the bills, and that's a lot of fun for me to work in. Okay, so what has happened since 2018? How did I go from no idea to being successful? And I think if my journey from 2018 to today were a newspaper, there would be one headline you would see very often, and it would be this: stay flexible. Because since 2018 to today, I have changed so many things. I have always reinvented myself. I've always tried to reinvent my business. I've done so many different things, experimented so many things, but never compromised my values. Meaning, whatever I do, it's always around learning, it's always around helping people, and it's always built around what I myself like to do, what I want to do, and in exactly the way I want to do it. Otherwise, I'm not taking the job, or I'm not sending you an offer. And that was the second most important headline for me. Over the years, I've asked myself a lot whether I could have done the same thing if I had started it as a side hustle. And my answer to this is very clear. I couldn't have pulled it off. But I had saved some money from the job before. So half already came from my new business and half from my savings. So I couldn't have pulled this off without the money that I had saved before. So when I say don't start it as a side hustle, you need to keep that in mind, because you need some way of paying your bills. You need some way to come up with your life expenses. I think that's a no-brainer. But what's less of a no-brainer, but still was extremely important for me, was in the beginning to reduce all of my expenses. And then I found out that I could easily live with a lot less than I had previously spent a month when I still was working in full-time employment. And I think that is the single most important factor for me, why I think starting as a side hustle might not be what you want and wouldn't have worked for me, is you only have a limited amount of energy every day. And you can spend it on so many things, and you can spend it on your day job, you can spend it on your free time, whatever it is. When the switch in my head was flicked, I knew that I could devote 100% of my energy to my own business if I wanted. And I myself could decide how much of that energy would go into that business every day. If I still had worked at the same time in part-time employment, I don't think I could have pulled it off. Especially because since I started with self-employment, I have gone through a tremendous development. My business, the way that I view business, the way that I interact with customers has changed entirely. And that takes up a lot of energy. So when you're in employment, then most of the time you know what you're doing and who you need to talk to and who are the people that you need to interface with. But there isn't as much development involved as with your own business. And if you start your own business, and especially if you're like me and you just jump into the water and you want to develop and you want to turn this into something that's fun, then you need a lot of energy to develop. I couldn't have pulled this off if I only had half a day to do it. And I told you that in the beginning I didn't know anything about business and nothing about money. And just recently I learned for myself that there is one really important learning about money. I always viewed my own business like something organic, like a tree. But I have to warn you, I am not really good at drawing, but I can use this to make a point about money. So this is my tree. And since the beginning, my tree has had several different branches. All of them are my skills and the things that I enjoy, like movement, like coaching, like content production, like consulting. However, in my case, learning, what I told you about, learning is right here at the stem of the tree. And what I only recently really understood about money, if you look at this as something organic, that means it needs nutrition, it needs energy in order to grow. And that energy really in a business comes from money. And here I don't want to turn money into something great or something spiritual. It's just the truth. If you are a business, if you are building a sustainable business, if your business has several branches, the ones that get money, they will thrive, they will grow. And the parts and the branches of your business that do not generate any money, they will eventually die off. It's as simple as that. I started off with movement as a really thick branch because I thought this would be something that I would do for a long time and where I would also potentially make most of my revenue. However, today I can say that this branch has somehow turned into an element of other branches, but the branch itself doesn't exist anymore. But for me, that's a good thing because that means the whole tree now can survive. The whole tree now is a lot more stable and is a lot more sustainable. Since now, a lot goes both into the content production and also into the consulting. And what I haven't even put on here now is the platform that we've launched. Now at the end, I would like to highlight what is probably the most important factor for my success, if you want to call it that. Skills themselves aren't unique. If you're good at writing, if you're good at drawing, if you're good at explaining, so many other people are too. However, the mix of your skills with your personality, that is unique. That doesn't exist anywhere else in this world. And this is, to this day, what I can say is the most important factor of the success of my one-person creative business. Because so many other people know maybe even a lot more about learning than I do. And so many other people know a lot more about content creation than I do. But the combination of those topics, the combination of those skills in my person, with my personality, with my view, is what makes this mix unique. And don't get me wrong, I don't mean that from an arrogant perspective, because it's not about me or not about anything that I do. It just means that this is unique. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily good. It just means that it works really well in certain circumstances. So if I myself, with my energy, with my personality, with my skills, can work in a certain environment, then also this environment will somehow grow. And this in the end is what I believe makes a one-person creative business successful. If you know what your monetizable skills are, if you know how to place them in the market that benefits from the mix of your skills with your personality, if you manage to address your potential customers and talk to them and explain to them why this mix is necessary and beneficial for them, then I think you can turn almost any mix of skills and personality into a creative one-person business. Because what I am doing, no one else is doing in exactly that way, simply because it's unique. And to be honest, for me, it's not about this. I don't want to be the next guy showing off what I have, what I own, because that doesn't appeal to me. But what appeals to me, it's just about this. Build something that's sustainable, organic, feels natural, and makes me happy when I get up in the morning. That's all I care about. Wherever in your journey you are, it's worth it. And it's always worth a try. Good luck.